Howdy chaps, and welcome back to episode 2 on the XC Wagon. And like I suspected, this car is attracting quite a lot of attention, as I suspected it would, because the coupes are so astronomically expensive. No one in their right mind is willing to hand out the money to buy one these days, so the interest is absolutely plummeting for coupes on the repair videos. I probably won't stop doing them, but because they're no longer an easily obtainable vehicle, there's less people interested in them, which might actually drop the car's values eventually, which is a suspicion. And I remember talking to a chap from Better Than You Old Stock about the back panels for the coupes, and I said, are you going to make them because your stuff is really really good? And he said nope, because there's not enough need for them. So I'm pretty sure they only made about 20-ish thousand coupes at day one. Smidge more, but not much more, and you'd have to assume there's not many left, and the ones that are done, the ones that are left are either really buggered or really good, so the need for parts for them is on the decline. Even though there's more stuff being made for them, the need to make new parts is actually starting to go down, whereas XYs and stuff, still very much more obtainable vehicles. You can probably buy a body shell that needs to be rust repaired for 10 grand, whereas a Falcon coupe, you buy one that needs to be repaired, you're paying 30 grand for something that needs to be fully restored. So if you were to buy a Falcon coupe, you'd better off getting a $90,000 loan or something like that, or $60,000 loan, and just buy one that's done, because it's not good economics to fix them anymore, if that makes sense, unless you can get them filthy cheap, and I mean cheap like they used to be. I personally have owned 5 Falcon coupes, and the most expensive one I ever bought was 10 grand. I think one was $1,500, one was 3 grand, another one was 5, one was 10. You know, they're all down in the quite achievable range, whereas piles of junk now are so expensive you don't even bother anymore. I know this is a rambling, but I keep an eye on trends and stuff like that, and yeah, stuff like this wagon I suspect are going to go straight back up. I mean, they're worth more now than they ever were before, and stuff like the XBs, I cannot believe what they're worth. It's mind-blowing. A good XB sedan now is worth what a Falcon coupe was 10 years ago. So yeah, enough ramblings. We're going to get back into this wagon. This particular video is spread over 2 days worth of filming, mainly because I was going to do more filming in the video, but I ran out of welding gas, so it sort of stretched it a little bit further, but it's alright. I've had to redo this intro on the second day for the beginning of the video, but you know, YouTuber life. But yes, we'll get stuck into it and catch up in a second. If you were playing along at home yesterday, you would have noticed that we got a fair way into this. I'm going to continue in a minute and make some new patches through here. I was just tinkering. We're going to order some gutters, because this car is going to require most of its gutter, and I'm actually still umming and ahhing about maybe removing the entire roof in one piece, as in the whole roof skin, like undo the welds across there, all along the gutter across the front, and very gingerly pluck the roof skin off. I don't know if I'm going to or not, but it's an idea that's floating through my head, because I thought at that rate then I could replace all the gutters in one go without too much screwing around, and it would stop me from having to do lots of invasive cuts into the roof skin. But I still don't know if I'm going down that path, but it's an idea that's floated through my head. Gutters seem to be a very common issue, especially on wagons. We're getting some made up at the moment, and we've ordered some from Astle. We're just getting universal ones. But I did toy with making this briefly. It can be made. That is the exact profile for this. I was just toying with a piece of junk steel, and it actually worked out really well. The hardest fold is this one right here, because you got one little fold, another fold, another fold, another fold, another fold, another fold, especially for there. So I'm umming and ahhing whether or not I can wing that again, because that was very difficult to make actually, and maybe make another piece that's about that long this time and see if I can get it done. But yeah, that's pretty darn close in my opinion. I mean, it's probably a little bit off because I didn't care too much, I was just winging it. I was basically testing to see if I could even do it, and the answer is yes, yes you can. But yes, that fold was insane. Just because the folders can't really do it too well. But what we're going to do is I'll probably try and make another piece, see if I can, and then I'll go putting some sections in here and another one down through here, I reckon, and that'll do. Then that piece will be sorted, and I'll just clean it up and copper spray and then put some anti-rust paint down here. I probably can't go too far because the panel that came out of here actually has to weld onto that, and then this welds onto that. So, and one thing I'm going to do is pull this back panel out quite a ways so that there's so not as much lead needs to go in. And we have got contacts with a guy an old chap who is a person who can lead wipe, so lead will be going back in these joints, probably on both sides. So it's slow progress because it's so tedious and fiddly, but it's done right. That's what we want done. So I think we're making good progress. So I'll see if I can whittle up a piece of gutter, see if I can do it, and then progress forward. We took a bit to a sheet metal basher, and they said, ooh, don't know if I could do that. Well, I've just proved that you can do it, so don't tell me you can't do it. So, progressing. Alrighty chaps, I'm in the process of making the gutter section for the wagon rear. The reason I'm making it is because, well, I don't want to wait a week for this piece because I've already started the repair and I'd like to finish it in a fairly short time frame. So we've ordered others for the rest of the roof, but the rear section I can get away with just making a small piece. But if you don't have at least a metal folder, I don't recommend you attempt to even try and make this, because this is one of the hardest things to make due to all the folds that are in that area. But like I was saying earlier on a previous bit I was trying to film, but I got interrupted. This is almost the same profile as the gutter on a coupe, but this final fold here isn't as tight, so it's sort of like on a whoop. So you could use a coupe gutter on a wagon and tweak it slightly if you wanted a head start, but generally when you buy sort of reproduction gutters, that's what you get. It's a head start, but it's still not quite, not quite right. So we'll just have to play it by ear. So what I'm doing is I'm making this one. This fold is very difficult because it's 3mm a fold. I think it's about 9mm a fold, and then another 3 and another fold. So I was trying to work out the best way to show you with a piece of scrap metal, which I currently don't have handy. Bear with me for 1 second. There we go. So what we're trying to do is do this fold here. So what I was doing is I was trying to do it like that, crack it a little bit, turn it around, go back that way. It is particularly hard to do, I'll give you that. Crack it that way, go back that way, crack it up like that. Oops, too far. Get my hammer. Hammers are always handy. And there, you pretty much have the hardest fold. So it's like two folds really close to each other. The next one is incredibly hard to do. The little baby one. I don't actually know if this folder can do a tight fold that tight. No, it's definitely struggling. I would also recommend you do this little fold before this one, but I just wanted to show you how to do that one because it's actually the hardest one of the lot to do. Yeah, so you can do that and then tap that around, which potentially you can go like this, I reckon, or like that. Bear with me here. Sometimes what I do is I actually use the folder to hold stuff. But there we go. That's sort of the profile of the gutter. It's really hard to focus, but it's... So I would recommend that you do this very first fold first if you're going to make it, and it's got to be hammered pretty much dead flat once it's crimped over, and then you can do the break one side, break the other, backwards and forwards, and then you can do that, and you basically get a good chunk of the gutter, and then you can just do the other folds like normal. So that, I'm hoping, will be handy to know. These gutters are incredibly fiddly, so expect to fail a few times making them if you're going to have a go at it. So this is your tech tip for this episode. Now I'm removing this bit of heavy pitting. I mean, it's probably not overly compromised. I mean, you could probably sandblast it and whatnot, but I'm not going to risk it. I want it gone. I'll be doing a patch under here. But when it's coming time to do panels and stuff and you're grinding down your welds like I am here, looking lovely, where do you think all your metal filings go? You go down in the hole and straight to the bottom of the quarter panel. Now, I have seen this even on modern cars that have had quarter panels replaced. You will find them rusting out, and that's because the metal filings go straight down and start rusting immediately. The idea is to stop this stuff from going down the quarter panel. So I use a magnet to try and catch as much of it as possible, and then prior to sealing it all up, you blow it all out with an air blower and run magnets and stuff in there. Try and get as much of the metal filings out as possible. But I'm grinding right here, metal filings are going straight to the magnet and not going down the quarter panel. So watch for metal filings and where they go, because they can cause problems in the future. That's your tech tip. Very, very handy device to stop them from flying everywhere. So I hope that's helpful. Having one of those moments. I'm really hoping the battery doesn't die on this camera before the end of the day, but I've just done my patch in here, copper sprayed, black etch for now, and then obviously once I'm done and about to put the top panel on, I'll coat it all with some anti-rust. So this is the piece I made technically yesterday, but the early half of this video. As the truck goes past, I'm going to stick that in there, right about there. It's not an exact replica, but it is very, very close. It's the best I can do. I ain't no magician. So here's it compared to the original, and very similar. Also the gas tanks are very heavily covered up with multiple layers of welding blankets. I mean, I don't think welding near here would cause an explosion, but on the off chance, it'd be nice to not have a random spark go that way. So we'll go stick this on, and then we'll probably wrap it up for today's video, because I think the camera is gonna die of battery, and I'm gonna run out of memory. But in the next video, we'll probably tackle repairing the outer piece and getting it back in. So I'll catch you up in a second. This will quite nicely wrap it up for the end of this video, part 2. It's dribbling a little bit. That's because I went a bit nuts with the etch primer, so it goes in between the layers as much as possible. Even though there's copper spray in there, I just want to maximize the sealingness of that, so that on the next episode, wherever I've placed it, we will be fixing that piece and putting it back in, and fixing up all this and peeling that back down and reshaping it. Still haven't decided whether or not I'm gonna go down the remove the roof path or not, but what we'll do is we'll fix it all up. I probably won't weld this back on to that panel in case I decide to go down that path yet, and we'll do, say, some of this rust next. We'll work our way down around this channel, which is pretty well toasted, but there's plenty of rust, which means plenty of work. So stay tuned and keep your eyes peeled for the next episode. So chaps, a little bonus bit for you is a sneak peek. I'm going to do a proper video on this tomorrow, but this is the new EJ we're going to build. Chock full of parts, marketplace special, absolutely a much better starting point, like you would not believe. Bonnet and guards and front grille are all a bit sad, but one area that I'll tease you with for now, and I'll show you better in the morning, tomorrow when there's some daylight and I've got a bit more energy, is look at this floor. A little rusty there, but that's nothing. But look right here, absolutely solid as a rock in the A-pillars. So happy to see that. It's actually relatively solid in all floor pans. The fronts are perfect aside from a little couple of holes, but the pillars are all good. Unfortunately, under the back seats rusted out a little bit, but I have a floor from the other one I could put in. But considering what I paid for this, which wasn't what I'd classify as a lot, got a lot of good stuff with it. Lots and lots of just knickknacks and parts, and 3 doors in it. I mean, probably go to scrap, but I mean, I'll strip them completely of their parts. Bumper bars, trim, odds and ends, another steering column, seat frame, but I'll probably just throw that out because it's rusty and stuffed. Hell, I even managed to get a perfect bonnet badge. Look at that. One of the 2 armrests anyway. I totally haven't been chasing armrests for an old Holden for about 3 years. But yeah, there she is in all her glory. Tomorrow I'll do a much more detailed video, eh? But thank you very much for watching.